Wind chills plunging to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Frostbite in under 2 minutes. A winter storm unlike anything we've seen in over a year is bearing down on America right now. You are watching this because you need to know if your family is in danger. And here is what I can promise you in the next 25 minutes. At the 5-minute mark, I'll reveal exactly which cities are in the crosshairs of this storm. But first, let me show you something that shocked even veteran meteorologists. 3 ingredients are colliding right now over the United States. Arctic air colder than Alaska, Gulf moisture at record levels, and a stalled weather front that refuses to move. When these 3 meet, history tells us what happens next. And it's not pretty. The National Weather Service just issued winter storm watches across 12 states. 12. That's over 60 million Americans potentially impacted. Think about that number for a second. 60 million people. But here's what most weather reports want to tell you. This isn't just about snow. Ice accumulation is the real killer in these storms. Power lines snap, trees fall, roads become ice rinks. And we're not talking about the north. We're talking about Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, places where most people don't even own an ice scraper. Right now, as I am speaking, a low-pressure system is sitting northeast of Michigan. Lake-effect snow is already dumping 3 to 6 feet near Watertown, New York. 6 feet, that's taller than most adults. And this is just the warm-up act. Here is a question that should make you think. When was the last time you checked your emergency supplies? Because by Thursday, stores in affected areas could be stripped bare. We saw it happen last February, we saw it happen in January, and we're about to see it again. The first Arctic blast hit the Midwest this morning. Wind chills in Minnesota are already approaching minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. At minus 50, exposed skin freezes in less than 5 minutes. Children waiting for school buses, workers walking to their cars, elderly neighbors checking their mail, all at risk. Now let me reveal something that changes everything. By Friday night, this Arctic air doesn't stay up north. It punches south, all the way to the Gulf Coast. Cities like Dallas, Little Rock, Memphis, they about to experience temperatures they haven't felt in years. Comment below right now and tell me where you were located. I want to give you a personalized forecast for your exact area. Drop your city name in the comments and I'll monitor this section to provide updates specific to your region. The temperature boundary is setting up exactly where meteorologists feared. It's a razor-thin line between freezing and not freezing, and here's why that matters. On one side of that line, you get rain, normal winter rain. On the other side, ice, lots of it. And the worst part, that line runs right through the most populated areas of the South. Over the next 7 days, our winter takes a turn that weather models have been warning about for 48 hours. Multiple Arctic blasts, each one stronger than the last. The kind of cold that makes your car battery die, that makes pipes burst in your walls. That makes you question why you live where you live. By Tuesday and Wednesday, the Arctic air mass pushes toward the East Coast. But Wednesday night is when things get really concerning. A much more intense low-pressure system spins up over Canada. And when I say intense, I mean winds strong enough to blow semi-trucks off highways. Pressure drops so dramatic that your ears would pop if you were flying through it. Thursday and Friday become critical days. All that intense Arctic air starts diving into the northern plains. North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin. These areas are about to see the coldest temperatures of the entire winter season. We are talking about air so cold it hurts to breathe. The kind of cold where schools close not because of snow, but because it's literally too dangerous for kids to be outside. But wait, there's a twist you need to know about. Most Arctic blasts lose their punch as they move south. They warm up, they weaken. Not this one. Computer models show this cold air maintaining its intensity all the way to Texas. That almost never happens. Wind chill is not just a number meteorologists throw around to scare you. It's a real measure of how quickly you lose body heat. At minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit wind chill, which parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin will see, frostbite happens in under 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Think about how long it takes you to scrape your windshield, to help your kids into the car, to walk your dog around the block. Areas including Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas need to hear this clearly. If you don't have to go outside Thursday and Friday, stock up on supplies Tuesday and Wednesday, because by Thursday, it won't just be uncomfortable outside. It'll be genuinely dangerous. Now here comes the part that affects millions more people. That Arctic blast doesn't stop at the Mason-Dixon line. By Friday night, it crashes into the Tennessee Valley, into Arkansas, into Texas. And this is where the moisture comes in. Remember those three ingredients I mentioned? Here's how they mix. The Gulf of Mexico is pumping moisture north at unusually high levels. Normally in January, the Gulf is relatively quiet, not this week. Water vapor is streaming north like a fire hose pointed at the coldest air of the season. When that happens, you don't get a light dusting of snow, you get feet of it. Or worse, you get ice. Freezing rain that coats everything in a crystal shell. Beautiful to look at, deadly to drive in, and absolutely devastating to power infrastructure. The temperature boundary line I mentioned earlier, it's going to set up right across Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and stretching all the way to the Carolinas. This is the battle zone, where warm meets cold, where rain becomes ice, where a winter storm becomes a winter disaster. If you are anywhere near Dallas, you need to pay attention to this next part. Amarillo, Little Rock, Memphis. These are cities that could see significant impacts, and by significant, I mean travel becoming impossible. Power outages lasting days, the kind of weather event that shuts down entire regions. This setup is unlike anything we've seen since last February, or maybe even last January when winter storms parked themselves along the Gulf Coast. We had a couple of those last year, ice storms that left millions without power. That collapsed roofs. That turned highways into parking lots of wrecked cars, and it looks like we are facing another one this weekend. Let me show you what the wind chill could feel like by Friday morning. This is important. In Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the Dakotas, wind chills could drop to minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit. The sub-zero line extends all the way into central Indiana and Ohio. If you live in Indianapolis or Columbus, you're going to feel cold like you haven't felt in years. But by Saturday morning, it gets worse further south. Many areas, including Texas and regions down toward the Gulf Coast, will see wind chills in the teens and single digits. For perspective, Dallas normally sees highs in the 50s in January. This weekend, wind chills in the teens. That's a 40-degree departure from normal. This is by far the coldest weather pattern we've seen so far this winter. And remember, we are not just watching cold. We were watching for the possibility of a major winter storm on top of that cold. Everything is happening at once. Now I know the question burning in your mind, are we definitely going to see a major winter storm this upcoming weekend? The answer is yes, very likely yes. Let me explain why confidence is so high. Starting today, lake effect snow is already pounding Michigan and New York, 3 to 6 feet near Watertown. That's happening right now, not a forecast, reality. Tomorrow continues the same pattern, heavy lake effect snow adding up by the foot. Late Tuesday, early Wednesday, a weak system crosses the Midwest. This one brings light to moderate snow, nothing major, maybe an inch or two across Wisconsin, Michigan, then into the Northeast late Wednesday and Thursday. This system sets up more lake effect snow, but again, this is just the prelude. The main event is Friday and Saturday. Arctic air spills out of Canada, moisture from the Pacific Ocean joins moisture from the Gulf of Mexico, and it all clashes in one place early Friday. This creates a battle zone between rain and snow, between cold and warm air, everything colliding at once. This is the beginning of what could be a fairly large and major winter storm. And when I say major, I mean it could last multiple days. It could bring a mix of ice and rain to areas that typically don't see those impacts. Texas, the Southeast, the Tennessee Valley, all at risk for a potential winter storm starting Friday. Here is what might happen on Friday. And I emphasize might because southern winter storms are notoriously difficult to forecast. The uncertainty is higher when storms track this far south. Small changes in the storm's path mean huge differences in who gets snow versus who gets ice versus who gets rain. During the day Friday, a winter storm starts to grow across the central and southern plains. The vast majority of the central plains will see at least some light to moderate snowfall. But there's also the possibility of freezing rain leading to ice accumulation. And ice accumulation is what makes this so dangerous. Here's something most people don't understand about these storms. A high-pressure system is going to be centered in the northern plains. This high pressure acts like a lid. It suppresses some of the heavier precipitation. It creates sinking air on top of rising moisture. This is actually good news and bad news. Good news because it limits the heaviest snowfall totals. Bad news because it can enhance ice formation. Let me pause here and remind you to comment your location below. I am tracking this storm hour by hour, and I want to make sure you get updates specific to where you live. Drop your city in the comments right now. By early Saturday is when computer models show a much more major winter storm. I am looking at scenarios showing a large swath of both snow and freezing rain stretching across over a dozen states, from New Mexico to the mid-Atlantic. That's not a typo. A dozen states. This scenario shows areas like Dallas, Fort Worth, Little Rock, northern Mississippi, Nashville, and even Virginia all getting hit. Now, will this exact scenario happen? Probably not exactly. But ensemble forecasts, which average dozens of different model runs, are all showing something similar. That gives us high confidence that a large winter storm is coming. The exact details, those are still being worked out. The storm likely continues through early Sunday before winding down. But here is the twist that keeps meteorologists up at night. Different computer models show different scenarios. The American model shows snow starting Friday in the central and southern plains. Not as widespread at first, but it intensifies late Friday and Saturday, almost like two different storms, one bringing snow and freezing rain to Texas and Oklahoma, another impacting the southeast. What gives us higher confidence is ensemble members. Think of this as taking 50 different forecasts and seeing where they agree. Right now, there's high agreement that we are going to see a widespread event of snow and ice from the southern plains through the East Coast. The ensemble support is substantial, but here are the big question marks that I need to be honest about. Who is going to see snow? Who is going to see ice? How much? Will areas as far south as Houston, Louisiana, or Mississippi see ice? We don't have all those answers right now because we're still 4 to 5 days out. However, and this is important, this is a relatively new trend in computer models. When I say new, I mean we started seeing this pattern develop just 2 days ago, but it is showing up on so many models now that confidence is building rapidly. We already seeing snow showing up on models only 100 hours out. That is actually quite close in meteorological terms. Right now, it comes down to specific details and whether there are any major changes in the forecast over the next day or two. This is why you need to stay updated. Check back tomorrow, check back Wednesday, because small shifts in the storm track mean huge differences in impacts. The probability of seeing at least 1 inch of snowfall between now and the beginning of next week is very high in certain areas. Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas now show over 70% probability. Yesterday, those same areas showed only 10 to 20%. That's a massive jump in confidence. The odds of actually seeing a winter storm are much higher now than just 24 to 48 hours ago. Let me give you a broad overview of potential snow and ice accumulation. But I need to be very clear about something. These numbers will change. 100% guaranteed they will change. Anyone giving you exact snow totals 5 days out is either lying or doesn't understand forecasting. What I can give you is a range, a possibility. One American model shows the largest swath of snow in Oklahoma, Texas, and across the Carolinas and Georgia. This would be very dangerous territory. Most of these areas have snowplows. A few inches of snow down south cancels school and shuts down roadways for days. People there aren't used to driving in snow. Trucks to have snow tires. Bridges ice over immediately. A European model shows a much worse scenario, a significant swath of snow from Texas all the way to Virginia. This scenario shows widespread 8 to 12 inches of snow. Am I saying you will see 8 to 12 inches? No. I am showing you the magnitude of what is possible if this storm pans out perfectly. If all that moisture and cold air arrive at exactly the right time and place. It's possible. The National Weather Service blended model shows a much lower end scenario because it blends multiple models together. For right now, this is probably the most appropriate map to look at. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and the Mid-Atlantic all have a good shot at snow accumulation through Sunday and Monday. When we talk about ice accumulation, uncertainty increases even more. One model shows an ice storm across central and southern Texas, Louisiana, back into Georgia and South Carolina. This would be a crippling scenario. Power outages for weeks, not days. Another model shows ice across Texas, southern Oklahoma, into Louisiana and Mississippi, with some areas seeing over an inch of ice. Now, I don't think we'll see over an inch of ice. But the fact that it's showing up on models means we need to take the ice threats seriously. The National Weather Service blend shows a very large area with lower-end ice amounts, but at least it gives you a range of where ice is possible, Saturday, Sunday, and perhaps even into Monday. Here's what you need to do right now. First, drop a comment with your location so I can track updates for your area. Second, make sure you re-prepared for the possibility of losing power, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Charge your devices, have flashlights ready, know where your candles are. If you have a generator, test it now, not when the power goes out. There is a very high likelihood that if this winter storm continues to trend toward being large and impactful, there will be multiple updates every single day. I am talking 2 videos a day going over new developments. There will be that many details coming in. And there's also a high likelihood of live coverage if this storm continues trending the way it is going. But let me be very clear about something else. There is a high amount of uncertainty on exactly who and where the snow and ice will fall Friday and Saturday. There's no reason to panic. Rush out and buy every loaf of bread and gallon of milk at your store. At this point, we do not know exactly who will see the worst impacts. It's still too uncertain. We'll have a much better idea by Tuesday and Wednesday. That's when you should finalize preparations if you're in the impact zone, but you should be staying weather aware starting right now. This could be a major winter system across the southern plains and southeast, the kind that gets talked about for years afterwards. Think about the winter storm of 2021, the one that shut down Texas for a week, left millions without power and heat. Burst pipes destroyed homes. People died. That storm was similar in many ways to what we're seeing set up now. Arctic air meeting Gulf moisture, a stalled boundary, the recipe for disaster. I'm not trying to scare you. Fear doesn't help anyone, but preparedness does. Understanding the threat does. Knowing what's coming gives you time to act. Time to make sure your family is safe. Time to check on elderly neighbors who might need help. Time to bring pets inside and protect outdoor plants. Temperature departures this weekend will be extreme. We're talking 20 to 40 degrees below normal across huge portions of the country. In Minnesota, that means minus 30 to minus 50 wind chills. In Texas, that means hard freezes down to the coast. Orange groves in South Texas could see damage. Livestock needs protection. Pipes need insulation or heat tape. The duration of this cold is also concerning. This isn't a quick shot of Arctic air that moves through in 24 hours. Current models suggest this cold pattern locks in for several days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe into Monday. That's a long time to maintain extreme cold, especially in areas not equipped for it. Schools across the South may close not because of snow amounts, but because ice makes transportation impossible. Remember, it doesn't take much ice to create havoc. A quarter-inch of ice on roads is enough to make driving nearly impossible. Half an inch brings down power lines. An inch of ice snaps tree limbs and can collapse roofs. What makes this particularly challenging for forecasters is the narrow nature of the precipitation types. We could see a stripe of heavy snow 50 miles wide, then a band of freezing rain just 20 miles wide, then cold rain, all within a 100-mile stretch. Your town could get 6 inches of snow while a town 30 miles away gets a half inch of ice. Another town 30 miles the other way gets just cold rain. This is why you need to stay updated. Check forecasts multiple times a day, Tuesday through Friday. Rely on a forecast you saw Monday. These situations evolve rapidly. The storm track can shift. The temperature boundary can move. What looked like a snowstorm for you on Monday could turn into an ice storm by Thursday. Timing is another crucial factor. If this storm moves quickly, impacts will be less severe. If it stalls, like some models suggest, impacts multiply. A storm that drops an inch an hour for 3 hours is much easier to handle than a storm that drops a quarter inch an hour for 12 hours. The total might be the same, but the impacts are vastly different. Power companies are already pre-positioning crews. They bringing in contractors from other states. They restaging equipment because they know what's coming. They've seen the same models meteorologists are seeing, and they preparing for widespread outages. That should tell you something about how seriously they taking this threat. Transportation departments are preparing too, pre-treating roads where they can, staging snow plows and salt trucks. But here's the problem. States like Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, have the equipment northern states have. They might have a few dozen salt trucks for an entire metro area. Chicago has hundreds. Dallas might have 20. When a major winter storm hits the South, the infrastructure just isn't there to handle it. Airlines are already issuing travel waivers. If you have travel plans this weekend through Dallas, Memphis, Little Rock, Nashville, Atlanta, start looking at alternatives now. Wait until Friday morning when thousands of flights are canceled and rebooking is impossible. Be proactive. Let me tell you what happens in these southern winter storms. Traffic grinds to a halt, not because of heavy snow, because of ice and drivers who've never driven in winter conditions. One accident becomes 10, 10 becomes 50. Highways turn into parking lots. People run out of gas sitting in traffic. Emergency services can to reach everyone who needs help. It becomes a cascade of problems. And it's not just roads. Airports shut down because they don't have equipment to de-ice planes quickly. Runways ice over and can be cleared fast enough. Even if your flight isn't canceled, you might be stuck at the airport for hours or days trying to get home. What about power outages? Ice is the enemy of power lines. Ice forms on the lines. The weight pulls them down. Trees accumulate ice. Limbs snap. They fall on lines. Sometimes entire trees fall. Power companies can have crews working around the clock and still take days to restore power to everyone. Weeks if the damage is severe enough. If you lose power in extreme cold, your home becomes dangerous quickly. Temperatures inside can drop below freezing in hours. Pipes freeze and burst. You need a backup plan. Where will you go if power is out for more than a day? Do you have family or friends outside the impact area? A hotel reservation? Dante, assume this one to happen to you. Carbon monoxide poisoning spikes during winter storms. People use generators indoors. They use grills or camp stoves for heat. Never do this. Carbon monoxide is odorless, colorless, and deadly. If you use a generator, it must be outside, away from windows and doors. If you recold, layer clothing, use blankets. Stay in one room with everyone to share body heat. Risk your life trying to stay warm. The economic impact of a storm like this could be in the billions. Lost productivity, damaged infrastructure, destroyed crops in Texas and the Deep South, burst pipes in millions of homes. The ripple effects last long after the storm clears. Insurance claims pile up, construction crews are booked for months, replacement parts become scarce. But let's talk about the positive scenario for a moment. What if the models are wrong? What if this storm doesn't materialize as forecast? It's possible. Weather forecasting isn't perfect, especially 5 days out. The storm could track further north, keeping the worst impacts away from southern states. The moisture could be less than expected. The timing could be off. Any of these factors would reduce impacts. However, hoping for the best while preparing for the worst is the smart approach. If the storm doesn't hit your area, great. You have some extra supplies. You are prepared for the next event. No harm done. But if it does hit and you're not prepared, you've put yourself and your family at risk. Vulnerable populations need special attention during events like this. The elderly, people with medical conditions who rely on electricity for medical equipment, young children, pets, all need consideration in your preparation plans. Check on your elderly neighbors. Make sure they have heat, food, and a way to call for help if needed. Farmers and ranchers face particular challenges. Livestock needs protection from extreme cold. Water sources freeze. Animals can die from exposure. If you're in agriculture, you already know this, but maybe you haven't faced cold this extreme before. Baby animals are especially vulnerable. Chickens, young calves, newborn lambs. They need shelter and heat sources. What about after the storm? The cleanup and recovery phase can be just as dangerous as the storm itself. People slip on ice. They fall off ladders cleaning gutters. They have heart attacks shoveling snow. Chainsaw accidents spike. Carbon monoxide poisoning continues. Take your time. Don't rush. Ask for help. It's better to take an extra day clearing your driveway than to end up in the hospital. Road conditions remain dangerous long after snow stops. Ice melts during the day, refreezes at night. Black ice forms on bridges and overpasses. Just because the sun is out doesn't mean it's safe to drive. Give yourself extra time, extra space between vehicles. If you don't have to drive, schools might be closed for a week in some areas. That not an overreaction. It's a safety decision. Buses can run on icy roads. Kids can safely wait outside in extreme cold. Buildings might not have power or heat. When schools announce closures, they're making the right call. Local governments will likely declare emergencies. This isn't meant to scare you. It allows them to access resources, bring in help from other areas, and implement emergency measures. If a curfew is announced, follow it. If roads are closed, stay home. These measures are for your safety. What should you have ready? Water. Even if pipes freeze, you want extra water just in case. Food that doesn't require cooking. flashlights and batteries, a battery-powered radio, medications, baby formula and diapers if you have infants, pet food, phone chargers and power banks, blankets, first aid kit. This is basic emergency preparedness that everyone should have anyway. If you have a fireplace or wood stove, now is the time to make sure you have fuel. Stock up on firewood. Have it under cover where it stays dry. A fireplace can keep one room of your house warm enough to be safe even without power. But never use them without proper ventilation. Have your chimney cleaned if it hasn't been done recently. Creosote buildup causes house fires. Financial preparation matters too. Make sure you have cash on hand. ATMs don't work without power. Credit card machines don't work. If you need to buy supplies during or after the storm, you will need cash, not hundreds of dollars, but enough for basic needs. $50 to $100 in small bills. Take photos of your property before the storm. If you have damage and need to file insurance claims, before and after photos help significantly. This takes 10 minutes but can save you thousands in disputes with insurance companies. Download offline maps on your phone. If cell towers lose power or get overloaded, you might not have data. Offline maps still work using GPS. This could be crucial if you need to evacuate or find an emergency shelter. Tell someone outside the impact area your plans, where you will be, how to reach you. If communications get disrupted, having someone who knows your status and can check on you provides a safety net. What about Friday specifically? Wake up early, check the latest forecasts. If winter weather is imminent, stay home. Cancel appointments. Don't attempt to drive. Your safety is more important than getting to work or keeping a meeting. Employers understand this. And if they don't, that's a different problem. Saturday could be the peak of the storm. This might be the day with the worst conditions. Heavy snow or ice falling, winds picking up, visibility dropping to near zero. This is a day to stay inside, have activities planned, books to read, movies to watch, games to play. Make it a forced family day if you have kids at home. Turn a potentially stressful situation into quality time. Sunday, conditions start improving. But don't rush out. Roads are still dangerous. Power might still be out. Give crews time to make repairs. Let road crews do their work. The storm has passed, but the impacts remain. By Monday, most areas should see significant improvement. Roads getting cleared, power being restored, life returning to normal. But some areas, especially in the South where infrastructure wasn't built for this, might still be struggling. Patience and community support become crucial. Here's the really important part. This is not the end of winter. Even after this storm passes, we are only in late January. February and March can still bring significant winter weather. Use this as a learning experience. See what worked in your preparation, what didn't, what you wished you had. Learn and adjust for next time, because there will be a next time. Climate patterns are shifting. These southern winter storms are becoming more common, not less. Arctic air is still Arctic cold, but the jet stream wobbles more. It dips further south more often. That means areas that rarely saw winter weather are seeing it more frequently. This might be the new normal. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay safe. Comment your location below right now so I can provide updates specific to your area. This storm is coming. The only question is, how bad will it be where you are? And I'm here to help you answer that question over the next few days. Remember, at the 5-minute mark, I promised to tell you which cities are in the crosshairs. Dallas, Fort Worth, Little Rock, Memphis, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Shreveport, Jackson, Birmingham, Nashville, Knoxville, Charlotte, Raleigh. These are the major metros facing significant winter weather risk this weekend. If you are in or near any of these cities, preparation isn't optional. It's necessary. The best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is right now. Don't wait. Don't assume it won't happen. Don't think you'll be fine without preparation. Hope for the best. Prepare for the worst. That is not fear-mongering. That is common sense. I'll be providing constant updates as this storm develops. Check back tomorrow for the latest model runs. Wednesday for refined forecasts. Thursday for final preparations. Friday for real-time updates. This is an evolving situation. Information I give you today will be updated as we get closer to the event. Your safety matters. Your family's safety matters. Take this seriously without panicking. Be smart. Be prepared. Be safe, and comment your location below so you get the information you need for your specific area. The winter storm is coming, but knowledge is power, and preparations